I said, lately, I've been thinking. So I was thinking about, my grandmother once told me when I was younger, I was probably like, 8. I don't know. She used to call me Bendejo. And I thought it was like a little nickname, love name or something between, grandson, grandma. It's like, I didn't think anything about the word Bendejo at all. Grew up in Alaska, right? Foreign exchange student from Mexico. I asked him in swim class in sophomore year. I was like, hey, man. Because I was like, Bendejo seems Spanish. I'm thinking in my head as we're in the swim locker room or whatever. And I'm like, hey, man, Hector, what's Bendejo mean? My grandma's always called me Bendejo, like, since I was little. What's Bendejo mean? And he just started laughing, like all kind of Spanish. It means my little bitch. And I just remember being shocked. And that's just kind of the mentality towards me, I guess, that my grandmother had, lovingly, but, nevertheless, broken woman, kind of. She is my grandma. Do love her. She's taught me things that you can't put a price on in this life, through her own experiences. So I'm always indebted to, my family for stuff like that, those lessons. But, so, you should always be satisfied with what you have, is what I remember hearing growing up. You should always be satisfied with what you got. Well, I'm reading Art of Living, Bob Proctor. So the lineage comes from Andrew Carnegie, you may or may not know, he's the man who made hundreds of millions of dollars in America, industrializing the manufacturing of steel. And he knew nothing about steel at all and didn't ever care to learn, but he had these rules about life and the laws and forces of it. One of them, he had a mastermind group of about 10 people. One of them was great in knowing it for mining. One of them was great in marketing. And they were all in mental harmony together, working in cooperation to build this thing. And it was the industrialization of the steel manufacturing in the US. Tons of governance, so businesses could flourish better with less, things in the way, or rules, regulations, and things, which are all important. They all have their place. And so Andrew Carnegie, then he passed it to Napoleon Hill through Think and Grow Rich, those laws and those rules, timeless book. And then Bob Proctor, which he dates back to Earl Nightingale, which is the dean of broadcasting. Bob Proctor comes from those times, 60s, and he's an old man, but he's putting out YouTube videos, and it is completely mind-boggling, the attitude and mentality, which is totally, it will catch you. You'll catch it. And it's great when you catch it and what it does, impact it has on your life, and I retain that. But like my grandma used to say, you should never be satisfied with what you've got. He says, you should be happy with what you've got, but never satisfied, because only through dissatisfaction, that's what keeps us reaching. So dissatisfaction is what keeps us reaching. And when we're reaching, we're happier with ourselves. If not, we're not stagnant. We're not depressed. Depression and aggression. Depression is inward aggression. Okay? So you should always stay reaching. You'll be happier with yourself, and in turn that translates you're going to be happier with others. And you'll let what they say roll off, A lot of what people will tell you face to face, or just rudely, or strangers, or whatever, you'll internalize and carry it with you for hours that day. Maybe it wrecks your day. And all that is that somebody else's internal speak. You want to just kind of, when somebody does that to you, step back, out of your body, and look at the situation objectively and look for where you caused it. And if you didn't, just realize you're just holding up a mirror and you're showing them themselves. They get to see themselves, because that's what they think about themselves, not about you. They don't even know you. It's like, people aren't mad at you. There's something else that they're mad at, but it's not you. Especially if they're strangers, they don't know you. You don't know them. They're not mad at you. They're mad at something else. Maybe themselves, but they're mad at something that happened probably years ago that they're still holding on to. They're dying to hold on to it. Why? So, keep staying reaching is a good piece of advice that I tattooed. I got a tattoo. Life is growth. When we look at it for different planets, it's something that's constantly growing. If it's not growing, it's dying. mentally, physically. So stay mentally growing is about the best piece of advice I could ever offer, or suggest as an idea. And Napoleon Hill, not Napoleon Hill, or not Andrew Carnegie, but the Dean of Broadcasting, Earl Nightingale. He always said, well, what is success? It's not money. We like to try to measure it in money because that's about as close as we can get to internal values, things that we value in ourselves. Money's just an expression of created value to others, how much of it you have. The true measure of success, this is the Dean of Broadcasting, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. So, an idea worth realizing, and every day there's a progression. If not physically getting a task done, just mentally you're still hanging on to that image in your mind, retaining that image, working towards that image of yourself having it. So, success is the progressive realization of a worthy idea. Bang, bang. Peace, sucker!